So far we have covered quite a number of topics related to the technical writing. You have been introduced with what is the technical writing, as well as the purpose of the technical writing. Next, we discuss about the structures of a typical technical writing, from the title to the conclusions. Some examples have been demonstrated, providing an idea how do you present the information within each section of your thesis or journal paper. Next, we talk about the language skill, writing style, and editing. We mentioned about the proper usage of the tenses, some rules of proper English, and also demonstrated the common problems related to the sentence, punctuations, words and phrases. After that, we discuss about the do's and don'ts for the technical writing. Now that we are reaching to the end of this chapter, where there are a few minor things which I feel worth introducing to you for you to have a better ideas how you can improve your technical writing. One of it will be the strategies of the technical writing. You know that producing a technical writing require a long period of time. If you are talking about your postgraduate study, producing a thesis for the submissions, in pursuing for your master's or PhD degree, you will find yourself taking quite a long time for you to prepare the thesis, because your thesis will typically be compiled throughout your postgraduate study. And if you are producing a journal paper, assuming that you have everything completed, where you have data, results, as well as the main frame in terms of the findings, writing a journal papers also require times. Most likely it's going to be 1 to 2 months for you to start and complete a journal paper. You will see yourself continuously revising your technical writing. There will be first draft, second draft, and so on so forth. And you know that when you want to write your technical writing, you need to clear your mind, not to be too biased as well as too affected by the knowledge or informations which you have already in mind. There will be some situations that things which seems to be clear to us might not be the same to the readers, as the readers did not really go through the entire investigation program. You cannot simply assume that the reader has the same levels of understanding as you. Therefore, when you need to prepare your technical writing, you need to make sure that everything is explained in detail, as if you are explaining to somebody who has never been involved with your investigation. Normally, I would suggest that after you have completed your first draft, you know that you need to come back and revisit your draft. There definitely will be revisions, and you should have a slight gap in terms of the durations between the first draft and the second draft, probably gapping by at least 3 days, where the informations and the prior knowledge in your mind is not that fresh in your mind. Then you read through again your first draft, see if you overlook certain things, and observe if you have properly explained all the necessary informations to the readers who do not actually involve in your investigations. Another challenge of writing technical papers, it is the coherentness and consistency of informations throughout the paper. You know that you are producing the papers or thesis throughout a long period of time, which your understanding on the topic may evolve along your investigations. This will be reflected in the thesis or your technical writings. You will also observe that sometimes what it is actually being implemented are actually varied from what you have initially planned. If you are producing different sections at different stages of your investigation, there will be slight inconsistency in terms of the claims given throughout your technical writing. Knowing the fact that the readers reading your paper, normally in a short period of time, within 1 to 2 hours, the reader should have already completed your journal's paper. Or within 1 to 2 days, the reader might have completed your thesis. Whichever claim made within your technical writing, it will remain fresh in their minds. Any inconsistency throughout your thesis, as well as your journal's paper, can easily be detected. This comes to the necessity of the strategies of technical writing, especially when you are preparing for your first draft. You might need to reshuffle the sequence. You don't have to start with the first word to the last word, from the introductions to the conclusions. Instead, you may start with the main parts of your technical writing, which is your work. That is the methods and materials, as well as the result and discussions. The methods and materials is the chapter 3 in your thesis, and result and discussions, it will be the chapter 4 of your thesis. You will need to continuously look between these two stages, revising to the state that they are consistent and you are satisfied with the quality of the work. Next, you know that the discussion here will require evidence and support by the previous studies. You will need to also explain the working principle behind certain observations in the process of formulating your findings. Therefore, there will be literature review, which by this date, you should have already consolidated most of the important informations and points as acquired from the literature review, which has been done throughout your research study. Now that you want to put everything in the proper format in the chapter 2, you will need to ensure there is a good connections between the literature review as well as your work. That's why when you drafting your thesis or report, you will need to revisit this literature review after you have done your works. Again, there will be a looping process for you to review and revise your 3 chapters now, which is chapter 3, chapter 4, and chapter 2. Once you have all this completed, you may proceed with the main structure part of your thesis, which you have to construct your introductions and then followed by the conclusions. You will need to make sure the introductions and the conclusions are structured in line, where the conclusions are meant to provide answers through the problems and the objective in your introduction. There will be a process of revisiting and revising these 2 chapters. And you will need to make sure this is in line to what you have done previously, so that every chapters in the thesis are within the loop and talking about the same thing. By this stage, you more or less completed your thesis. The abstract, it will be the last sections that you need to do, as it provides an exclusive summary of your entire thesis or paper. It provides an overview to your entire research program, and it should be written in a very concise manner, covering all the aspects throughout your technical writing. Again, there will be revisions within the thesis. Now that you have completed your first draft, what you see here, you cannot run away from continuously revising your thesis or technical papers, and you need to make sure there is a good connections between different chapters. Normally, you need to do these 2 together because they are strongly correlated to each other. As well as you do these two together, as it set the framework of your entire research program, and you need to do all this together with the abstract, as the abstract is actually providing an overview to your entire technical writing. What we are talking about here is the revisions are done sequentially from the first chapters to the last chapter of your report or thesis, in order to ensure that the chapters are all logically connected. And these revisions cannot be just one time. There will be continuous looping between revisiting your chapters, revising your chapter, fine-tuning the informations, restructuring the sequence of informations being delivered, rethinking about the terminologies and phrases being used within the technical writings. You might need to consider yourself as a typical reader without any prior knowledge about your investigations, and see if there is any missing informations that can disrupt the understanding of the readers.